A man worth $370 million spends 4 hours on the same Sunday every quarter doing something that has nothing to do with his company. And it isn't checking his stock portfolio, and it isn't meeting with an advisor. It's a habit almost nobody outside his inner circle has ever heard of. And it's the actual reason his net worth keeps compounding while people making six figures a year stay exactly where they started. My name is Weston, and I think about this more than any healthy person probably should. Here's what I want you holding on to for the next few minutes. This isn't a productivity hack or a morning routine video. It's a specific 90-day cycle borrowed straight from how billion-dollar companies operate, and almost no individual person ever applies it to their own money. I'll show you the exact 4 steps around the 5-minute mark, and once you see them, you'll understand why most people's finances drift instead of grow. Picture this. It's the last Sunday of the quarter, and Daniel is sitting alone at his kitchen table at 7 a.m. before anyone else in the house is awake, with 3 printed pages in front of him. Daniel built a logistics company from a single leased warehouse into something worth $370 million over 18 years. He runs it the way most CEOs run anything that scales, quarterly targets, quarterly reviews, nothing left to drift for 12 months before anyone notices a problem. What almost nobody knows is that he runs his own personal finances on the exact same cycle, same day, same 4 questions, every 90 days without fail. The first page in front of him isn't a spreadsheet of stock tickers. It's a single number, his total net worth, assets minus liabilities, updated from scratch, not estimated from memory. He does this quarterly because waiting a full year to check, the way most people do, means 12 months of small leaks go unnoticed until they've already become expensive habits. Compare that to Marcus, a friend from Daniel's college days who makes a very respectable $145,000 a year as a regional sales director. Marcus has never once calculated his actual net worth. Not because he's careless, but because nobody ever told him it was something you're supposed to check on purpose. He has a rough sense that things are probably fine, the same rough sense he's had for 6 years, while a car loan, a timeshare he barely uses, and a slowly growing credit card balance quietly outpaced the retirement contributions he assumed were building his future. Here's the part that should make you rethink every year you've gone without checking this number. A net worth that isn't tracked doesn't stay flat. It drifts, and it almost always drifts downward first because liabilities accumulate quietly while assets require active decisions to grow. Daniel's quarterly check isn't about ego or bragging rights. It's an early warning system. If his net worth is flat or down 2 quarters in a row, he knows within 90 days, not within a full year, and he can correct course while the problem is still small. The second page on Daniel's table is a list of every recurring expense currently coming out of his accounts, personal and business, side by side. Subscriptions, memberships, retainers, insurance policies. He does this every quarter because a $40 a month software subscription he stopped using 18 months ago doesn't feel urgent enough to cancel in the moment. But multiplied by 4 quarterly reviews a year, across everything in his life, those small leaks add up to real money he'd rather have working somewhere else. Marcus has 11 active subscriptions right now. He can name maybe 6 of them. The other 5 have been billing him quietly for over a year, roughly $63 a month combined, because canceling something you forgot you had requires remembering it exists in the first place, and nothing in Marcus's life ever prompts that memory. The third page is where Daniel reviews every investment and asset allocation decision made in the last 90 days, not to obsessively trade, but to ask one specific question. Does this still match the plan, or did an emotional decision creep in during a stressful week? He caught himself 2 years ago having moved 12% of his portfolio into cash during a market scare, a decision that felt reasonable in the moment and looked clearly wrong 3 months later when he reviewed it with a clear head. Because he reviews on a fixed quarterly schedule instead of reactively, he caught it and corrected it within one cycle instead of riding an emotional decision for years without noticing. That brings us to the fourth page, the one that actually explains the $370 million more than any of the first 3. The fourth page is a single written paragraph, updated every quarter, answering one question. What is the next asset or skill that would most increase my net worth over the following 90 days? Not a vague goal, a specific, written answer. 18 years ago, that paragraph said things like learn commercial lease negotiation, 12 years ago, it said hire a controller instead of doing the books myself. 3 years ago, it said acquire the competitor's regional routes instead of building new ones from scratch. Each quarter builds directly on the answer from the quarter before it, which is why 18 years of 90-day cycles compounds into something that looks from the outside like overnight success. Marcus has never written that paragraph, not once in his entire career. He's a good employee, well-liked, reliable, but every year looks structurally identical to the year before it because nothing forces him to ask what specifically changes in the next 90 days. He shows up, he does good work, he gets a normal raise, and the compounding that happens for Daniel every quarter simply never starts for him, not because Marcus is less capable, but because he's never once run the review that would surface the next move. Here's the number that makes this real. People who track their net worth regularly tend to build wealth faster than people who don't, largely because problems get caught in months instead of years. Applied to Marcus's actual numbers, 6 years of unexamined subscription creep, a car loan he never renegotiated, and a 401k contribution he set once and never revisited even after 2 raises, conservatively cost him somewhere in the range of $58,000 he could otherwise have had working for him right now. If you just realized you've never once calculated your actual net worth, hit like right now, because the next part is exactly how to run this cycle starting this weekend. You don't need Daniel's accountant or his company to do this. Pick one Sunday every 90 days, the same one every time, so it becomes a fixed habit instead of a maybe. Page 1, calculate actual net worth, every asset, every liability, real numbers, not estimates. Page 2, list every recurring charge across every account and ask honestly whether each one still earns its place. Page 3, look at wherever your money is invested and ask if it still matches your actual plan or if a stressed decision quietly crept in. Page 4, write one sentence answering what specifically would most move your net worth in the next 90 days, and treat that sentence as the actual assignment for the quarter, not a vague resolution you'll forget by February. To be fair here for a second, this isn't a secret CEOs are hiding from regular people on purpose. Most business owners run reviews like this because a company that doesn't get punished by the market fast. Individuals rarely get that same forcing function, so the habit never develops without deliberately building it. This also isn't a guarantee you'll build $370 million. Daniel had 18 years, real business risk, and real advantages most people don't have access to. What this actually guarantees is that you'll stop drifting silently for years at a time the way Marcus did. And that alone changes the trajectory more than most people expect. Comment the date of your next Sunday, the one you're actually going to run this on. I read every one, and next month's topics are coming straight from what shows up in these comments. Daniel's $370 million was never built in one big decision. It was built in 90-day cycles nobody else was running. Next month, the Social Security claiming mistake that costs married couples the most money over a lifetime, and why the right age to claim isn't the age almost everyone assumes. If this helped you see something you didn't see before, subscribe. That's the whole channel, one clear thing every week.